Hello, good evening. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live tonight here on Wednesday night, obviously after last night's 5-2 victory. And I am joined by the legend himself, Mr. Curry Muncher. Curry, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
As I keep on telling you, mate, mere leg end and legend. I'm not too bad, mate. As we were discussing before we come on here, been really busy. I've been trying to get things sorted out. I'm still trying to upgrade a PC. I'm waiting for parts to come. The old puppy, the old bird, she's not been well, so I've been looking after her for quite a bit as well. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm trying to keep calm, mate. Put it that way. After what we've watched, I've not been on the pod or I've not done my own pod or any other pods now for a wee while. So obviously everything's went like basically tits up, really, hasn't it? For the last time we spoke. So it's like trying to keep calm. I think all my anger's like already went out the window, nearly really. It's the same way the telly nearly went. But
Yeah.
I am no bad, mate. I hope you're well as well.
Yeah, I'm not doing too badly, mate. Just busy at work and obviously, yeah, like yourself, trying to maintain I don't know, a kind of a calm, more an evaluative calm towards the end of the season without losing my rag on too regular basis, and particularly slaughtering anybody and getting trolled for slaughtering certain players and certain individuals within the club. There's I don't know today, Corey. It just seems that there's been so many different bits and pieces of information and news come out today. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, we will, talk a little bit about yesterday's game against Dundee, of course, but we have an awful lot to discuss around Clement and Willie Collum and the changes of VAR. I mean, I don't know. Just as an aside, Corey, have you seen that in England it's been proposed by Wolves and it's going to be voted on that the EPL scrap VAR?
I think there's a very good chance that it's going to be because the way that it's been implemented and because there have been so many dreadful decisions by VAR teams and by referees going to the screen and making decisions that baffle fans that are watching it at the game, fans that are watching it on TV, professional footballers, ex-referees that get called up after the game that to have a look at analyse it, and even they're saying the opposite of what should have happened. So it's obviously it's not working. It takes the spirit out of the game. For me, I would have a version of VAR that would do offsides and goal line technology. That's it. Everything else should be left down to the referee. If the referee makes a bollocks, then fair enough, he makes a bollocks. We've had that right through through history about having good referees and bad referees. It happens to be right now that I think VAR's complicated that much now, and because of social media and because we can watch every single minute, every single game, every single angle that we see, that it gives us as fans something to complain, even more to complain about,
Mm.
because especially you go onto Twitter, you'll see a still image and you'll be like, oh, that's a shocking tackle. But when you see it in real time, it's actually not quite as bad as they say it is. But I think they've done the right thing, and I think it will go. And no doubt that because it's Scotland, they'll do the complete opposite. And obviously, because a certain man that we made head the refereeing today, it is only going to get bloody worse.
Absolutely. And we are going to talk about that. I mean, just before we go on to talk about Rangers tonight, and obviously the man who has been appointed head of the referees tonight, Corey, do you think? I think one of the things that I really criticise about VAR for me is it's kind of taken the passion out of the game a little bit because you're almost afraid to celebrate a goal because it just seems that you celebrate and it's like, oh, actually, hang on a minute, it could be disallowed. We'll have to wait and see it, and then you wait and you wait, and eventually it's given. It's taken that little bit of the passion out of it a little bit. I feel as well.
It has. Well, I don't think there's any. But I mean, you see, when I'm still the same. If I'm watching a game and Rangers go, whether it's the guy's 10 yards offside and I don't notice it, and I'm celebrating like a numpty. I'm getting off my head, right? But then it's like the commentators say, "Oh, it's going to VAR," and I'm like, "What? What's going on?" And then you're sitting there for I think that last Rangers, no, this one, but the one before, we hung up. It was nearly 5 minutes to make a decision, and an offside, or
Yeah.
they had to go back to the previous part of the play, and it was just like, it's just wasting it. It
Mm.
really is. I mean, see, I think most of the people will agree that's in chat, but I wish there was as I said, my version of VAR would be for offsides, a proper offside where they can actually measure the lines. I take
Mm.
knowledge. It can't be that bloody hard to draw a bloody straight line or a
I know.
90-degree angle. Surely to hell. And goal line technology, all the rest should be left down to the referees, no matter how incompetent they are. We just need to get on with it. We're never going to change. There's always going to be bad refereeing decisions. There's always going to be the Mason in the black. There's always going to be the father, I mean, rosy bleached guy in the park. It doesn't matter. Us as fans are going to criticise referees. It just happens that the majority of them are just shite at their job,
Yeah.
and we just need to get on with it, mate. That's for me.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree with you, Curry. I think, yeah, and there's a lot of people in the live chat agreeing with you as well. Geordie says, agree with Curry, VAR should only be involved in goals and offsides. Sig says, spot on. I just think the problem we've got is that VAR, football is not a game that suits VAR. If you look at where VAR, video system referees, are used successfully, it's in sports where there is stop-start. The NFL in America, the NHL in America is very stop-start. Rugby is very stop-start. Cricket is incredibly stop-start. So you can use VR, and I just think football doesn't really suit it, and it really is. It needs to be reviewed and it needs to be looked at. And I think in Scotland, especially with the standard of refereeing, I mean, I've seen referees in England, I've seen referees in Spain, in Italy, and I've got to say, Curry, the referees in Scotland are absolutely appalling. They genuinely are poor. And I think no, you don't need any other further proof than the fact that the Euro 2024 they've actually selected an Argentine referee ahead of any Scottish referee for the Euro 2024 championships.
Yeah, well, I think was it not the guy that just get made it head a the Scottish refereeing?
Yeah,
That was he not the last Scottish referee to actually be over in a European? I don't know if it was a European or a World Cup game, and he actually gave a penalty for a boy getting hit in the face with a ball, and I think
yeah, I think it was him. Yeah,
that was the last time that was Willie Collum that done that. I know that he did it, but I'm just wondering if that was the last time that a Scottish referee actually was on the actual pitch. I think there was a fourth official once used a couple of years back, if I remember right. Willie Collum, remember we was it Kolek or Cholak, whatever way you want to say it. Remember,
Cholak, yeah.
I can't remember what player it was. He puts his arm around him and he's nipping him in the shoulder, and then Timmy hooks him, and he yellow cards Cholak, and I'm like, that this guy's been made the head, so it's not going to go any. It's going to go one way. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Put it that way. There's nothing. There's nothing we can do. All we can do, mate, is get on with it, and hopefully that maybe one of the teams, other than Rangers, put in a paper and saying, "Listen, we want VAR to be scrapped," because if Rangers do it, there's absolutely no way. Do you want to stop showing that score? That's just spoiled my night even more.
Yeah,
But
2-0 now apparently.
well, it was going to happen anyway, mate.
Yeah, it was. It
Where was I?
was. It was.
That put me
But yeah,
right
you're
off.
right. I mean, you brought him up there. I mean, let's just obviously, like I said, we'll get to Rangers in a minute, guys. But obviously, news today that
Sorry,
Willie
everybody.
all right. Willie Collum has been made head of refereeing in Scotland. I mean, when I heard this decision, Curry, given the fact that you had the VAR decision at Parkhead earlier this season that he was involved in, that there was an awful lot of controversy around. You watch his performances. He struts around like the school teacher that he is. He treats players with disregard, with arrogance. His decision making is genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because of decisions they've gone against Rangers, but even if you watch him in other games, like that example you gave with the European game, he just genuinely is an absolutely shockingly poor referee. And for me, Curry, it beggars belief that someone like him is put in charge of Scottish referees. It genuinely, I mean, I'm not saying that, that Don Robertson, that John Beaton, that Nick Walsh, that Father Clancy are any better than Willie Collum, but I don't know. It just beggars belief, Curry. I don't understand it.
It's Scotland, mate. You feel upwards. Look who we had for first minister. The guy fielded at every position that he had, and he still managed to become our first minister.
Mm.
It's in Scotland, apparently, the more shite you are, the better job you get. And that's what's happened with Willie Collum. And I think one of the guys in the chat said that we're having a laugh that he's the worst. They're all as bad as each other. But it's like I don't think there's one team like that can turn around and say that Willie Collum is competent in any way, shape, or form, and that's any team, because he's screwed over somebody at least once or twice every season in every team. Maybe no for one right enough, but that's just my conspiracy. But we won't go there.
It is absolutely hilarious. I mean, it is just beggars belief. And I mean, I was just quickly flicking through X or Twitter or whatever the hell it's called these days earlier, and Celtic fans even saying that it's a Masonic conspiracy that Willie Collum has been made head of referee. I almost died laughing, Curry. I really did.
Well, actually, there was actually one tweet the night about the cup game. Who's in charge on that? And
Nick Walsh, yeah.
Nick Walsh and that, and they're like, it's just they may as well just give them the cup, the Masons, and I'm like, it's a bunch of these people have got an IQ of a goldfish, mate. There's no point in arguing with them or even speaking to them. Just ignore them, because that's the best thing to do. I've fed up and I've screamed it's like screaming at the clouds, mate. Try to talk to these people and talk sense to them and be like adults, but there's no point, because they've got this in their head. They've had it forever, and it's not just this generation. It's the last generation, the generation before that. It's onto the VAR, mate. Now, I'm thinking about the technology they use in tennis, right?
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, thank you. It's instantaneous.
It is.
It's done within seconds, and it's computerized. There's no a human involved. It's just like the computer looks at it, looks for the ball, where it lands, and everything, and decides whether the ball was in or out. Surely they can do the exact same for football.
I agree.
It's a straight line right across a park. How hard is it for you just put in the information? The AI, I mean, the AI right now is just crazy what it can do. I'm pretty sure it can guess when a player is offside or onside.
I agree.
And probably on split seconds. Instead, even a ball's been hit, and it might only be half a second after it. But that half a second could put somebody offside or onside, depending. It's just that's the way I would go. But
yeah, I mean that's common. It's called that. The issue there is, Curry, that's called common sense, and I think that the governing bodies, not just, I mean, and I'm not just include the SFA in this. I include the FA in England, the EPL in England, UEFA, whoever. There seems to be a complete lack of common sense right across the board. Anyway, I don't think it's any better anywhere else. I mean, a lot of my mates down here, I've got mates who are, Leicester fans because the area I live in, Coventry City fans, Man United fans, Man City fans, and they all moan equally as much about English refs as we do about Scottish refs. So I don't think it's any better anywhere, really. I think there is a genuinely poor standard. And Bobby Finley in the live chat says, why can't it be a retired ref that watches them? Collum is so angry and disrespectful of players. And I mean, you know, you look at some of these, even some of the retired refs that have perhaps gone on now and have seeing it from the outside, have got a better judgment. I mean, Dermot Gallagher, for example, who does the ref watch on Sky, seems to be a very competent guy. I know he's a Celtic fan, but you know, he seems to be a very level-headed, fair, balanced guy. I'm not saying him per se, but someone like him, Curry, coming in and having an oversight in our game of, number one, our refereeing standards, and number two, the VAR. Why would that not work?
The best thing that could have happened, really, the thing is, SFA, if they would put out a big statement on Willie's this and Willie's that, right? But the thing that got me is they said that it was a international refs from Australia and this place and that place, and that could have probably been the best thing that could have happened, was to get a referee from out with Scotland, in fact probably out with the UK, to come in and be the head, or even have somebody like, even if it had to be from Collum, right, is there as the assistant for the Scottish side, with somebody out with Scotland as the head. Then would it change anything a wee bit? Maybe, but not that much, mate. Not that much. It's just, we're going to be stuck with this for another season at least, I think. I can't see any of the Scottish teams being brave enough, other than, as I said, other than Rangers, about saying anything like that. And because it's Rangers, they'll say no, because that's every time that we propose something and try to get them to go along with things that should have been changed. Every single one of them, they shut the bed because they're scared to lose the SFA money and the wee extras they get for them. So they may say, "Oh, aye, that's absolutely fine." So unless it comes to another club, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, especially a club wearing green and grey. Dave J says here in the live chat, I think this is a brilliant point on what Curry was getting at. The problem with VAR is the human behind it. Hawkeye is all automated with no human intervention, hence it's instant.
Well, that's what I just said. That's basically what I just said.
Yeah, it's right, and it's what I've said a long time. If you go back and watch some of my videos where I've talked about VAR itself, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the computer technology of VAR. It is the idiot who is sat behind the screen who makes all the mistakes. It's just the way it is, and it won't change. It will never change.
Let me behind this camera, bloody idiot.
Me too. I'm sure a lot of people think of that of me too, Curry. You know, the idiot behind the camera talking. Yeah, that's the problem. Humans make mistakes, and they will continue to do so. And you know what? Why double down on the mistakes? Just let the refs make the decisions. And I think at times as well, Curry, refs have shit the bed, like you said, because they don't want to make the decision. They will they will think, oh, don't worry, I don't have to make the decision because VAR will pick it up. VAR will pick it up, but it doesn't always do that. And I mean, we've seen it this season with Rangers. I think we've had 12 penalties, and 10 of them have come by VAR, or we've had 15 penalties and 12 have come by VAR. You know, no one seems to have the courage to give us a penalty. It's got to come from VAR, which then, of course, feeds into the conspiracy. So I do think that, you know, it has to be reviewed. It has to be looked at. And what the future of it is, who knows? Who knows? But let's get on to talking, obviously, about Rangers. Yes, Derek, it is Curry. We've got a poll running as well, a topic we're going to talk about in a short while. The poll that's running currently is asking whether Union bears right to walk out full time. Currently had 47 votes, 62% say yes, 38% say no at the moment. Curry, what just generally about the game last night? I know that, you know, we know that the league is done. No matter what happens tonight, you know, it will be done at some point. Even if Killy managed to pull off a shock of shocks, there's no way St Mirren would lose at Parkhead. What were your general thoughts on the game last night?
Rangers doing Rangers things, basically. Started off, I thought, to be honest, I thought we looked at a bit not too bad, to be fair, when we started off. And then it went to bits. You could already see before the goals came, the Dundee weren't really doing anything to hurt us, but you could see that we were slowing down. Passes were starting to go astray. People weren't covering positions where they were supposed to. We'll obviously talk about where the goals came from later on. And then they score one, and then we do we've done, I think, for 4 out the last 8 games is we fall asleep and we're 2-0 down. I mean, see, it used to be that we used to give teams a 1-goal start. Now, apparently, that's not enough. I think that the Rangers players have decided, no, I think we'll give them a 2-goal start, then we'll start playing. Come out the second half, and it was like a night and day, absolute night and day. The mid 3 were working together. The front 3 were starting to click together, and they showed what they could really do when they put their mind to it. But it was certain players that were in that looked as if they were just there for the game, and that was it. They weren't there to win and prove a point to people like the Union Bears and the fans that went to the park. Now, I'll ask you a wee question, mate. On the Union Bears, do you think they were right to walk out in the final whistle?
I can understand why. I can understand why, Curry, because I think there is an awful lot of frustration there with the players at this moment in time. There is a lot of frustration, in the fact that the league was in our hands, that we threw it away. That there's a lot of these players that are stealing wages. There's a lot of these players that were going to come round and clap the fans and expect to be clapped back. So I can completely understand where they're coming from in terms of their frustrations. Personally, I wouldn't have walked out. I would have stayed, supported my team, clapped them off, no matter how bad they've been. They're still my team, my players. But I can understand their frustrations. I genuinely can, because once again, Curry, there is the same core group that have let this team down and let this club down. What's your take on it?
Right. Well, anybody that's watched my channel will know that I've supported the Union Bears and what they do every single time, because I think they're a fantastic group of boys and lasses that go there and support our team, and they give it everything from everyone. That's what they've done the whole season, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to get hate mail for the Union Bears now.
Yeah.
I think they were wrong on walking out, because the players that were on that park weren't the ones that shat the bed and let us all down. Well, the majority, there was only 1 or 2 in that pitch yesterday that finished that game that let us down. There was a few young boys getting their first proper game with us, and I think the Union Bears should have at least. I can understand. I really can understand. I don't blame them. They pay their money. They do what they want. Same as any other fan. You go to the game, you're quite entitled to do whatever you want, except that the dafties are there that start throwing stuff. That's just that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
If they ever did that, I'd condone it. There's no way I would agree with that. But shouting and calling them names, walking out, turning their back, whatever it is they want to do, if you're paying your money, you're quite rightly, you're allowed to do that. The same way that when I'm sitting and I'm shouting, and my favourite hate guy is Tavernier. Now, I've criticised him for 2.5 seasons now. And it's just this last couple of weeks that I'm not going to call them happy clappers. I'm not going to call them fanboys, right? It's obviously they love their team, right? And they want to back their captain. But you can't turn a blind eye every time he gets something wrong. Because that's the reason why we're in the shit right now. Is because we've kept on turning a blind eye to players that have half-arsed performances and play the next game. And this is where Clement is starting to go wrong, because he started getting into a habit of playing the same players that were playing the same garbage, were at fault for the same things week after week, and they were still getting played. It's just something that has boiled me. But after Union Bears, I know, mate, I can understand, as you said, I can understand where they're coming from, but I don't think it was right for the players that were on the pitch last night, because I think their second half performance more than justified them getting applauded, because I thought we scored 4 goals in 45 minutes, and it could have actually been about 6 or 7. So in a way, I'm angry, and in a way I'm not. But as I said, at the end of the day, they pay their money, and it's no pennies. It's a lot of money these guys pay, and it's for the tifos as well. Their ticket money, their transport, their feed, their grumpet anyway, their bevy, everything. They spend a lot of money to go to Rangers games every single time. So I'm not going to say anything bad about them. That too bad, but I don't think they should have They should have walked out. They should have gave the players who were on the pitch a wee bit after me, a wee bit of applause at least. The rest of them they could have just ignored.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I understand. I personally wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't do it. And like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinions. That's the great thing about football. It's the great thing about these pods is that everyone has different opinions, different views on things. We don't always agree with each other, but that's what it is. That's how it is in football. And I think, picking up on that game yesterday, Curry, like you said, I think it was a game of kind of 3 parts, wasn't it? We started, like I said, we started well. Then those 2 goals that Dundee score from, we will talk about that shortly. Where the 2 goals came from. The second half was just typical Rangers, wasn't it? The moment the pressure comes off, primary Real Madrid turn up, and we smack somebody and we absolutely smash someone, and that's how it seems to be with us. The moment the pressure's off, the moment the league's gone, that's when we start playing to somewhere near what we believe their potential should be. One player I want to, before I talk about Todd Cantwell, because I think there's a lot of interesting, stories around Todd at the moment, Curry. One player I do want to pick up on from last night. Well, actually, there's a couple of youth players I want to pick up on from last night. I've got to say, I was very impressed with young Robbie Fraser when he came on last night. I thought he showed some great pace going forward. I thought he showed good in attacking a 10. He didn't show any fear for it being his competitive debut. I think he's a player I would love to see get more opportunities, in first of all in the Hearts game, which there's nothing riding on it now. And then obviously next season in some of those games against some of those lower teams, the Ross Counties, the Hibs, the teams that come up out of the Championship this year, those sorts of teams. I'd like to see him get an opportunity. What was your take on young Robbie last night?
I thought he was competent. I don't think he was amazing. I don't think he was brilliant. I'm not going to go off my head. I thought he'd done a very competent job. He managed to. Sorry for saying this, Robbie and all the other young boys, but it was Dundee. Right, we need to remember that. We've seen the same against some players when we're playing the early cup games against lower league teams, and guys look like world class, right? But all credit to them. They went out, they done a job, they done pretty well. Put it this way, I don't think none of them made any major mistakes. The future will be these guys that are coming in. As Clement has already said, he's going to change the structure of the youth. They were talking about McCausland, Robbie Fraser, and that they were only coming in, and they'd only had like 5 training sessions with the full squad. I've always been adamant that any youth should be spending every single time with the senior squad to learn. The more time they spend with them, the more time they learn the system, especially the way things are just now with the youth. We don't know what's going to be happening with them next season. As far as I'm aware, they're not looking at any type of youth development league or anything like that. So I'm not too sure what they're expecting. I would get as many of them into the first team squad training at least, so they're learning the tactics that he wants. There's a couple of wee doubts. I know people will hate me for this. There's a couple of wee doubts creeping into me with Clement over the last couple of weeks. And it's not just because of results, it's the guys that he's picking. When they're not playing well, the system we're playing, I think the big one was against that mob. Every Rangers supporter, I think, bar none, had said that we need legs in the midfield. We need a 3-man midfield to stop the likes of Maeda, Riley, and McGregor in the midfield to shut them out. We've been saying that for the last 4 games, and Clement went and did the exact same thing as he did before. It's plan A again, and it never worked. And guess what? It never worked again.
Yeah.
And again, and again. So he has to take a big bit of blame for that. I understand we had a lot of injuries, but we should still have the guys that we had on should have been more than competent enough to go out there and no capitulate 2 goals the way they did. It's just a bad habit that's crept in over the last few seasons, and I think most people are in agreement that the core, the spine of this team that have been here, they've basically overstayed their welcome, need to be let go, shown the door, and that's it. The one thing I'm worried about, and I'm really, really worried about this, and this will probably make my final decision on what I think Clement is John Lundstram. If John Lundstram gets another contract, I reckon Clement will last him maybe Christmas, because I don't think a lot of the fans right now, especially right now, would be happy about him giving him another contract.
No, I agree.
I'm not saying that they'll be wanting him sacked. I don't think that. But if he's going to keep the likes of Lundstram and bring him in, you can guarantee he's going to keep Goldson, and he's going to keep Timmy Tavernier. And they're the 3 main guys that we need out this club ASAP, because they have not been good enough this season. Dav's got his numbers. Brilliant. Well done. Good for you. But you've won 2 cups and a title in 9 years, my man. That's just no Rangers standards, sorry. There's been worse captains that we've had. They've achieved more. It's no all about you. Rangers comes first, no matter what. It comes first for the club, for the owners, and most of all for the fans. You don't play for your wage. You play to entertain us. You play to win titles and cups and go out there and give it 100% every single time. You get paid enough. Christ, if I was no wages, I don't care what job I was doing. I'd be going out there and doing my bloody damnedest, because I know if I'd ever done my best, I'd be out my ear. So that's just me personally, mate. I mean, obviously a lot of people will be totally disagree with me, but that's my feeling.
I've caught it from this week on Twitter when I've criticised Tav. There's a fair few people who've had a right go at me and said, "Are you even a Rangers fan?" Well, yeah, of course I am. So shut up, I'm not taking it from you. But I mean, I think just going back to that sort of the point about the youth players from last night, the Kings, the Frasers, the McKinnons, the McCausland to some extent as well, and obviously the restructuring of the youth, and like you said, bringing these youth players in to train with the first team setup. I think these are the games though, like Dundee, like St Johnstone if they stay up, like Hibs, people like that we should be using these young lads in, because. And I'm not saying start them. I'm not saying that we start them. But bring them off the bench, half an hour here, 20 minutes there, because how are we going to know if they're good enough if they don't play some part? How are we going to know if Bailey Rice is as good as a lot of people say he is? How are we going to know if Cole McKinnon is as good? And realistically,
because we keep on getting fucking letting teams go 2-0 up, mate. We can't play youth if we're going to let teams get 2 goals.
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying, Curry, is the fact that we're never going to, these young players are never going to get their chance, and we're never going to know what we've got. I mean, might as well not bother with an academy if we're never going to use these lads. And personally speaking, Bailey Rice, people talk about us getting Connor Barron or getting Lennon Miller or getting the young lad from Killy, David Watson. How do we know that Bailey Rice is not a top talented player? Because the lad he played 2 games under Beale that season, looks fairly decent. He's had no further opportunities since then. I know he's been out injured just recently, but I do think we do need to bring some youth players into the setup and actually use them, because we're never going to know what we've got. We're never going to be able to generate this training model without these young lads. There's a lot of things. Now, going on to the point you made about Lunny, I mean, I don't know about you, Curry, but I know that Lundstram is suspended for 3 games, but it's how that suspension it works. Now, as far as I'm aware, the cup is not included in that suspension. That's what I'm kind of reading in different sources. I might be wrong, and if I am, please, I'd love to be wrong. But I honestly feel that if he puts Lundstram back into that team in the cup final against that lot, he's a couple of things for me. Number one, he's demonstrating he has not learned at all from any of his mistakes, the ones that you've picked out, Curry, the lack of legs in midfield, the ability to dominate O'Reilly, dominate McGregor, dominate Hatate. He hasn't learned from any of those mistakes. And the second thing that would be there as well for me is, in the likelihood that Lundstram plays, we will be overrunning midfield, we'll lose the cup final, and he will go into next season under a hell of a lot more pressure than he needs to be, because if we lose to Celtic in that cup final, that will mean that he's actually done worse than Michael Beale and not actually beaten Celtic at all in his start of his managerial career. And with the best will in the world, managers who don't beat Celtic don't last very long.
Totally agree, mate. It could, as I said to you, I don't think there are very many folk that will be pleased if he gets a contract. If he plays in the cup, I think, as far as I'm aware, if it's a red and it's considered as dangerous, could go to appeal, and if it goes to appeal and you lose, it's a 3-game ban, automatic, no matter what competition is within Scotland. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's because there was a lot of people saying on Twitter they were like that. Maybe we should appeal it so they can't play in the cup. I think Clement needs to be really, really honest with himself, and he needs to just bite the bullet, because he's just been absolute. We spoke about this the last time I spoke to you. Last time I done this with you was probably about 2 months ago, and that was when Lundstram was playing well. And I said then, because I think you said to me, would you give Lundstram a contract? And my words were then, no yet, because he's had these purple patches before. When he comes out, and for 6 weeks he'll play absolutely phenomenal, and then he'll turn straight back into the shite that he was. And it's not that he plays bad or his form gets a bit poorer. It goes right off a cliff. Now, I'm no mad that he scored an own goal. It happens in football.
Yeah.
Was he at fault? Aye. But he wasn't the only man at fault. Tav in here to me let a tatty put that cross in. Tav losing his man yet again. But we're going on Lundstram, so I'm going to Lundstram. But it was the amount of times that he was failing to cover O'Reilly. He done it time and time again. O'Reilly had 4 shots on target, the exact same spot. And one is nowhere to be seen. It was only a matter of time. I was watching it because they're going to score. They're going to score. But in the second, when they done that tackle, I was just, when I first seen it, I was like, yellow. I went, aye, that's a yellow. You'll need to watch what he's doing. Then it showed you on the replay. And as soon as I seen the first time I seen the replay, even before anything was said, I went, that's a red card. He's off. And sure enough. And that was before Collum even get called up to the screen. There was nothing to do with how bad Collum is. But we knew right away that was his studs were up and he hit the boy in the back of the ankle. If that was maybe the start of the game and that, and I don't know if it's just you can't do that in football anymore. Maybe years ago when we had other managers, that was the type of tackle they would get praised for. But you probably got a telling off for the referee, or you maybe get a yellow. You're risking a yellow. Now it's an automatic red. So it was that, and where it was in the pitch as well. There was no need for it, because he shouldn't have been up there. He should have been. Why is he not next to O'Reilly again? He's leaving his man. Again, Johnson wasn't going anywhere, so he was totally wrong. And if he plays him in the cup, I think he'll lose a lot of faith with the the Rangers support. And if he gives him another contract, I just think it's like he's signing his own P45 for me if he gives him another contract.
Yeah, 100%. Bluebell says we aren't appealing it. Chris Jack said it will be a 2 league games. He'll be available for the final. But hopefully, obviously, we're all hoping that he doesn't feature. Curry says, P. Curry, sort of your namesake there, says no such thing as an old firm tackle anymore. I mean, a couple of points to pick out there. I think, number one, that in that final, when we are going to talk about the final at the end, we do need legs in midfield. And I'll talk a bit more about that then. We do need to have players who can get in and about Hatate, O'Reilly, and McGregor and stop them from playing. And you're right, Curry. Back in the day, certainly back when I suppose started following Rangers back in the Graham Souness era, when we had the likes of Souness and Roberts and Hurlock and Butcher, you could put a tackle like that in. It was a welcome to it was known as a welcome to the game tackle, wasn't it? You'd put their star striker or their star midfielder up a height, and that was fine. It was kind of just taken as the ref would go, no more of those. And then that would be it. And we'd all get on with the game. But you're right. Nowadays, you can't do anything. You can't breathe on players. To some degree, rightly so, because we want creative players to excel and we don't want them to get injured. But yeah, the days of being able to kick people like that are long, long gone. So yeah, and the tackle, like you said, and I said on the video at the time, it was a pointless tackle. Johnston had a back to goal. He had he was facing his own goal. There's only two places that ball could go: back to Joe Hart or out into the stand. Lundstram doesn't need to make that tackle. It was a stupid tackle, and I really hope that he is going to Ipswich, or he is going to Trabzon, or he is going somewhere else. I genuinely hope that he's gone. And personally, Curry, I never want to see him in a Rangers shirt ever again.
I think you probably agree with the majority of the Rangers fans, and from what I've been watching on Rangers fan pods and Rangers sites, they're all in agreement. And this is coming from guys like to me, Heart and Hand, Four Lads is a Dream. It's all these guys, all the proper fan sites. No like mine. It's just some Rangers fan talking a lot of rubbish and talk about our team. The same as you on we're talking about the team that we love. I'm no interested in access or anything like that. I just want to talk about my team and have a moan when they play shite, or to me cheer and rip the piss out of the other mob when we win. That's all I want to do. It's a pity. I don't know whether it was something to do when his contract talks were going on. He was putting in some blinding performances. He really was playing well. And then it just seemed over the last couple of weeks now, when the talks have fell apart, and I don't think he was going to get the money that he was wanting. I think they did offer him a new contract, but it was a reduced rate because he's one of the highest, as far as I'm aware, and all the rumours and all that. I don't know how much they all get paid, but apparently he is one of the biggest earners at our club. And if he is, and if he's not willing to take a drop in wages, it's obviously he's no interested in Rangers. That's the one thing that gets me. If you're wanting to play for Rangers, it's because it's Rangers, not for how much money you can get. But that's because I'm a Rangers fan.
Absolutely, 100%. Stephen Gillespie says, great, you've got Curry on. Thank you, Stephen. Derek Reed, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, this is for the great chat, banter, and best interactive Rangers live stream on YouTube. Thank you very much, Derek, for that. Yeah, I mean...
Well, it was the Akim one, mate.
Yeah, it's because you're on. That's what it is.
It was straight to hell.
100%. You've got them going, Curry. You've got them going. But you're right. And Curry, we saw that from Jack Butland, didn't we? That he came up here because he wants to play for Rangers. As Philippe Clement says here, you play for the jersey, not for the wage. And, but Butland could have taken a massive, huge pay packet to sit on the bench at Manchester United. He could have taken a massive, huge pay packet to go down to Nottingham Forest in January. But he's not. He's showing what we want from Rangers players that want to be here, want to play for our club, want to fight for those jerseys, want to fight for that badge, and understand that. And look, I know people are going to say, well, you would say that you're a Rangers fan, but playing for this club is a privilege. This is one of the, and again, I'm going to get accused of having the blue tinted goggles on, but please, somebody prove me wrong. Playing for one of the biggest clubs in Europe, this is one of the biggest clubs in Europe. It has been for ages, and playing for this club is a privilege. And if it's for you, if it's all about the money for you, then you're a mercenary, and we don't want you at this club. We go mercenaries. You see what mercenaries do to clubs. You look at some of those English Premier League teams, like Nottingham Forest, for example, who've spent 120, 200 million. Chelsea, the £1 billion blue bottle jobs, who've spent £1 billion on players. Look where it's got them, because none of those players are there because they want to play for Chelsea or they want to play for Forest. They're there because someone's giving them 200 grand a week or 300 grand a week or 150 grand a week. And we want players that want to play for this club. And Butland is a classic example of that. And I think you're right, Curry, in some of the things you said. You know, there's far too many players on this team at the moment who are in it for themselves. They're not in it because they want to play for our club. They're not in it because they want to represent the jersey or our fans. They're in it because they want to be footballers earning big wages, and they just see Rangers as the cash cow they can jump on to get that money. And unfortunately, we have, in the past, through some appalling decisions by Douglas Park, Stuart Robertson, Ross Wilson, given these players huge contracts that we're now saddled with. And it's going to lead to us struggling, I think, to get rid of some of these players, isn't it? I mean, Goldson, 40 grand a week or 37 grand a week, whatever it is. Ben Davis, 30 grand a week. Like you said, John Lundstram was suddenly playing well when he thought he might get 30, 35 grand a week. The moment he finds he's not getting it, he downs tools. It is what it is. And for me, Curry, I'd rather have 11 players out there that want to play for this club than 11 superstars earning massive wages.
I think most Rangers fan base would be the exact same, mate. That's all we want. We want people to go out there and play for the badge. That's all we want. We see it all the time. We see the badge kissers and all that, but that's only when they're doing well. When we do bad, when do they ever come out and apologise to the fans? I think it's happened once in this season where a player's come out and not exactly apologised, but accepted that it wasn't good enough, and said it in a proper way. And that was a Nigerian nightmare the other day there. When we get the presser, how many times have we seen our assistant captain and our captain coming out with the same old pish, mate? It's like, oh, we need to learn. We need to learn. You've been here 9 years, mate. If you've not learned in 9 fucking years, I think there's something wrong with you. I think you need to maybe leave the club. And this is, we heard all the same stuff for the likes of Goldson as well. We need to learn. And we're just like, no, you've been here long enough. You've basically get ready 2 managers. You absolutely let down one of the best Rangers midfielders we've ever had. When he went into interim, and you totally let him down. You let him down when the greatest manager passed away. The special night that we had. It was all them that bottled it, and it was a garbage result. They done it with our kit man as well. On his night as well. They done the exact same thing. And it's just, that's what's done me in with all these the old guard, as they call them. Because they need to, I don't understand what hold they have over our previous managers. Tav was good. He had an amazing season in 55. He was no too bad after the year after, but he came back and everybody said he was unfit. He was a yard slow. This season he came back, he was about 2 yards slow. And he eventually came in. He's got his numbers. Can he take a free kick? 75% of the time, aye. He scored some bangers. He really has. Is he good at penalties? Well, he was until the last couple of weeks. He's missed 2 now in the last 5 that we've had.
Yeah.
So he's starting to waver there as well. Whether that's confidence because he knows he's not playing. But the game last night at the start of the game, his first 3 passes were intercepted. That was his first 3 passes, and I was like, ah, here we go. And then with the 2 goals, he was right back position. That's where the ball comes to. Where's our right back?
In the middle.
He's in the middle. Martin Napty. There we go. Look. obviously the goal scored there, right? But this is he's in the middle. He's a right back. Any chance that see the job that you're paid for as a right back? Any chance you can get fucking out there and take the right back position?
Yeah.
It was even in the second half. He did actually. He was moved in, and he didn't really need anything in defence because the D offered nothing.
Yeah.
But he actually went into this. He was playing centre mid. He was playing mid. He was playing centre forward over the course of that full game. Because I think he knew how bad he was playing, and he just wanted to get involved, just so he could do something. And it just broke everything up. Last night, we talked about different things, mate. I'm not sure. I'm still in the camp. Dessers is not what we need. But I'll tell you what, mate. I'm not going to take it away from the guy. He scored another good goal, right? He scored against that mob. It took Alfredo Morelos 12 games before he scored against them, right? Maybe never won. The guy tries his heart out. Is he good enough? He should have had a bloody hat trick. But right enough, that goalie, the save that the goalie made, that was outstanding.
McCracken.
It was a McCracken save.
Yeah.
It was absolutely tremendous. That should have been a goal, but that was his fault. That was just good goalie. He had a chance where he had a chance. Instead of taking touches and he tried to stay back heel it to Silva, he could have just swiped it. Just shoot, mate, please. Just hit the shoot button, please. And this is the thing that I think frustrates a lot of the Rangers fan with Dessers, is because the goals that he should score or should even attempt, he doesn't take it, and that's why people just like, no, he's not for us. I think he'd be a good backup if we can bring in a clinical striker. I think he'd be a good. But also, if he was sold and we could get our money back and invest it elsewhere, I wouldn't say no. And that, in fact, that's the same for every single player in this team right now, except for Sterling and Butland. Is only two that I do not want sold. For me, if Butland gets sold during this break, I think we can say goodbye to the title. I know that's a bit extreme because we don't know who's going to come in. I think he's that important. If we lose that goalie, I'd say probably the best goalie in Britain just now. I don't think we're going to get a title because we'll need to get a back four that's going to absolutely tear this league up. And I don't know if we can bring 4 new players in that could do that, because the only one you would probably keep is Ridvan.
Yeah.
Because the rest are just no good enough.
I mean, on Dessers, I've been a long time critic of Dessers, as you're aware, Curry. And I think, again, we saw last night what Dessers is. He's, like you said, he's just not clinical enough. I mean, he scores that fantastic header, and it was a fantastic header from a Tav cross, strangely enough. But it was a fantastic header, the way he flicks it with his head and gets the power on it and still keeps it under control. But then, like you said, that sliding down the side, if he just swings his boot at it first time and hits it, he probably at least hits the target, works the keeper. And then that miss where he was in front of the goal, if he just opens his boot and cushions it, he scores. But he sort of flicks the outside of his leg at it and it goes over the bar, which we've seen on numerous occasions this year. It's those little critical misses that he has. I think it's 26, 27 big chances he's missed this season. And I know he's done very well. I think it's 16 league goals, 22 goals in total, something like that this season, which is, a very good response. But it could be 30, 40, at least, if he'd taken some of those chances. And yes, you will score 20, 21, 22 goals playing for Rangers because we create a lot of chances against some very poor teams. But I think you're right. He could be a decent backup. He could be a third string striker, or maybe even a backup striker to a top class striker. Obviously, the jury's still out on Danilo, but we do need to bring someone in the summer. Someone who is going to put the ball in the back of the net on a consistent basis 30 plus times. And I include 20 plus league goals in that. That is an absolute must for me. And there is a lot of players that I would say have a price tag. And I think the thing with Dessers is if one of those Italian teams comes back in for him in the summer that we're supposedly sniffing around in January and offers us 5 million for him, he's 29 years old. He's going to be 30 next season. He's not going to increase in value. He's going to decrease in value. So yeah, you're right. I think there's very few players in that squad who do not have a price tag on their head that you would accept. But you're right. Butland is one. It was nice to see Clement come out and say that he's not going to sell Butland. He doesn't want to sell Butland for any price. I don't think the decision will rest with him, though. I think it will rest with Bennett, Bisgrove, and possibly Coppen and Craig Robertson. Dujon Sterling is just immense. I think it's worrying that Sterling is our best player in about 5 different positions.
Have we not got the technology to clone people yet? Because he's been the one guy, I'd be cloning him 10 times.
Yeah, I would too, yeah. But someone put on X the other day, Curry, Rangers team to face Hearts and Celtic in the final if Dujon's fit, and it was 10 Dujons with Jack Butland in goal. I mean, for me, that team would do a job. I mean, it really would do a job. But yeah, I agree. I mean, those two, do stand. I think Diamande is one for the future. But there's a lot of players in there. Now, one player I do want to sort of discuss before we move on to talk about the cup final is Todd Cantwell. Now, Todd Cantwell is a player who divides opinion massively within our fan base. Personally, I love Todd Cantwell. I have criticised him this season, but I do love Cantwell. I love the fact that he hates them. I love the fact that he is a flair player. He's like what we call down here a B-Tech Gaza, not as good, nowhere near as good, but what we call a B-Tech Gaza. But he doesn't always show up in big games. He has his poor games. He sometimes lets his mouth or his social media run away with him. But I was watching CJ Novo this morning, and CJ Novo appeared to suggest, and I love CJ Novo, that Cantwell could be his last game at Ibrox. Curry, what's your take on Cantwell?
Right, I've just been looking on the chat. By the way, can I just say, everybody that said hello and all that, how you doing? Hope you're well. I can't talk in the chat because I'm on my laptop. So I can't, I've no link to up or anything like that, so I can't talk on YouTube. So yeah. I have seen you saying hiya. I've seen a lot of good regular names that I know. It's good to see you. But the guys in chat are saying about certain players. Somebody said about Ridvan about his injuries. That is concerning. Yeah. That is one of the one things that I'm worried about. Is Ridvan good enough? I think he is. I think he's a really good player. I'm a bit worried about his injuries. Everybody else, I agree with Diamande. Diamande, I think once he learns Scottish football, give him the pre-season and that, I think he would be a terrific player, whether we get him full time or no. I don't know what's happening now with the contract with him. We're supposed to be as a loan to buy, so I don't know what's happening there. But Diamande's problem is he wants too much time in Scottish football. You don't get that. He's a bit casual, and he needs to get rid of that. But he's still a young boy. But he's plenty of time to learn, and he will be an investment. I think we'll make money out of him. Cortez, from what we've seen him, the guy looks absolutely amazing. I thought he was the few games that he did play. I thought he absolutely dominated that left-hand side. He could basically be your Jota. That's how good I thought he was. I thought he really played well. Todd Cantwell, I'm going to get a lot of hate here as well for the chat, because I know, as you said, Todd Cantwell splits decisions, and it's not exactly down the middle. They either love Todd Cantwell or they absolutely detest him. There's no middle ground with him. Me, I love the guy, mate. I think he's amazing. I need to agree with you. Has he been brilliant this season? No. But people need to remember the last season when we were finishing, every single one of you, and I don't care if you can lie if you want, right? But every single one of you were saying that we should be building our team round about Raskin and Cantwell. We were all saying it, and I was saying the same. He started off, he never did a good season, he came back injured, and he never played well. He started getting into bother because he's part on social media, TikTok or whatever it is, right? And people, other Rangers that started going after his, you shouldn't be doing that. Listen, he can do whatever he wants. It's like me telling you No, you shouldn't be saying that. It's the same in the chat. That's like me pulling somebody up in chat and saying, no, you're not allowed to say that about us. You're not allowed to do that. It's just, people are allowed to say whatever they want. I'm a big, sorry for going political here, mate, but I'm a big advocate of freedom of speech, right? You say what you want about anything. Feelings and all that. Oh, you hurt my feelings. I don't care. You've offended me. It's like, I think it was Ricky Gervais. Oh, I'm offended. Okay, be offended. It's just, be offended and move on. It's not going to cost you anything. Oh, I'm offended. I'm offended by people that eat bloody pineapple and pizza. That offends me. But it doesn't bother me. It just go on with it. But people need to remember, right? Todd Cantwell has had 12 goal contributions in the league this season. He scored 7 goals. He's our 4th best goalkeeper. So see for any of the guys out there saying, oh, he doesn't do anything. He's our 4th best goal scorer. And you need to remember he was injured for a lot as well. He's played 35 games, I believe. I think it's 35 league games he's played. So for me, he brings in that type of doggedness, determination. He gets stuck into it. I think he loves the fans. I think he really does love the club, and he tries, and that's the main thing. Can he be casual? That's the same as Diamond. I don't know if it's because I know he's still like a young boy, but he's a fair bit younger than me. Obviously, I'm an old fart.
Yeah.
But he can be too casual sometimes. He can sometimes try the wee bit of flair thing, does they come off? And I think that can frustrate a lot of Rangers fans when he's going out there and trying wee fancy things when he doesn't need to. And it's when he loses the ball that you're like, oh, what would you do that for? You didn't need to do that. If you just passed the ball normal, it'd be fine. But the thing is, you look at the way he played last night, it didn't matter. But it obviously mattered to him because he did that second. He ran that second half. He was the best player in the park in the second half. So for me, I'd like to see Cantwell stay, but if somebody offered decent money for him, I'd take it, mate. I'm not going to lie. Even although I think I love him to bits, I'm going to stick with my original comment that the only two that I do not want to see leave Rangers is Sterling and Big Jack Butland.
Yeah. David P says he'd like to see Cantwell in a good team. That's a good point. If you're going to play number 10, you better let that bird fly with reference to that joke. Obviously, that comment that he made. Stats that I've just quickly researched and found out. Cantwell, 30 games in the SPL, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 goal contributions in 30 games. And I think you remember as well, in some of those games, he was played out wide, which is not his best position. He has been injured for some of this season as well. And I don't know about you, Curry, but one thing that kind of impressed, I think impressed is the right word here, but in that interview that he gave post-match yesterday, he genuinely seemed pissed off. Like, this is not good enough. This is not what we need to be doing as a team. I'm not happy. And when he was asked questions about himself, he immediately deflected it away onto the team about, the goal. I don't want to talk about that now. When you were dropped for this thing, well, yes, we needed to react as a team, not how he was feeling. And for me, he actually sounded like one of the fans in how annoyed he actually was, with how this season's kind of finished up.
So it should be, mate. As I said, there's been far too many games, and people in the chat have said he has let us down as well. There's been points where he's let us down as well, but that's been the full team. But if you were to turn around and say to me or any of you, if you have a look at this Rangers squad of this season, all the different ones that have played, has he been the worst?
Nowhere near.
Has he been is there? I could name 7 other players that's played worse than him that I can't wait to see at the back at the back door.
Yeah.
And get this the end of this season.
Yeah.
Players that don't deserve to have been put on that pitch. It was the same way. So I thought Silva had a decent game in the second half, but he shot it again for a header, I think. He just no suited. I'm absolutely I'm mad at the board that apparently 2.3 million they've had to pay for this 6-month loan. When we could have got, and I know people hate me saying this, we could have got a striker. I what's his name? We could have got a striker in for maybe 3.5 for maybe 1.1 million, 1.2 million more. We could have got a guy that would have I would say probably we would have won the league if we'd had him in our squad.
Yeah, I think if we'd had a striker, we would have. I honestly think if we'd gone and got a Miovski, Shankland, someone like that, then I think there's every chance we would have won the league this season.
Owen,
There was
sorry for interrupting me. Can I ask you a question, mate? It was just something that Aldo's asked there. Are we? Because I think somebody asked this. I don't know if it was Aldo on one of the other channels, but maybe you'll know this because I don't. Are we still due money for Patterson off Everton?
Yes, we are. Everton still owe money on a number of transfers. It's all part of the fact that Everton down here are in a hell of a big financial hole at the moment. They're relying on the 777 group buying them out from Mashiri, who I think is the owner at the moment. So there's a lot of financial issues around Everton. And yes, we are still due money from Nathan Patterson, apparently. Because I know one of the jokes that was made at the time when that came out was that, well, if they don't pay it back, do we get him back then? Can we repossess Nathan Patterson?
Send down the bailiffs.
I can't get him back in the bailiffs. But yeah, we are due money for Patterson. Yeah, we are still. I don't know how much it is, Curry, but I know we are still due a sum of money for Nathan Patterson because the vast majority are. I heard there was a guy, Kieran Maguire, I think the guy's called. He's a big expert on football finance, and during the whole FFP, PSR, whatever it's called these days, debate around Leicester or down here, he was wheeled out quite a few times by quite a few media organizations, and he's like a real expert on finance. And he was saying that a lot of transfer fees these days are kick it down the road deals where you hear a fee for a player up front. So we're going to pay 6 million for this player. Well, actually that 6 million is spread over 3, 4, 5 years, and the vast majority of transfer deals are done that way now.
I think most fans understand that now. Over the last few years, as I said, because of social media, I think a lot of fans for every different club. We realise it's not the way that we used to. When we used to see in the paper that X player has been bought by X club for X amount. They never ever gave you the information like how much they'll probably be paid, how long is the contract for. It's to be paid in instalments of X amount and be an upfront fee and all that. So I think fans are a wee bit more well informed. Obviously, we don't get into the nitty gritty, but I think most fans know that we don't get. If we get 10 million for a player, we don't get the 10 million like in hand. It's doesn't work that way. Can I just tell me some of the guys in the chat as well? I need to agree with what they're saying about what we need for next season, mate. Is we need pace. We need that return of pace that we had for the likes of Bassey. Dare I say it, old-fashioned Sakala. I love that guy. We need that pace back, and that. Can I ask you the one thing that gets me about Wee Ross, right? And I call him Wee Ross for a reason.
Yeah.
I think if he manages to bulk up a wee bit, I think he'd be a better player. I think he's just a bit too slight, and he can be pushed off the ball a bit too much. Even though his determination got that first goal, and I think if he hadn't got that goal, I don't think we would have won that game, mate. I honestly don't. I think that brought us back in the game again. So I thought he had a brilliant game. His first touch was shocking, by the way.
Yeah.
But the thing was he chased it and he got the goal. But the same as P. Curry said, is he's no great in the air. I seen him. He did manage to get a couple of defensive headers in, so he didn't know too bad. But I think he is a bit slight in that, and he can be pushed off the ball a bit easy. Right, mate. Sorry, on you go, buddy. Sorry, I'm taking your show, buddy.
That's fine, mate. It's good. It's giving me a break, mate, from talking. It's because I'm used to. I'm fortunate about doing a lot of the pods on my own recently because poor Laura is hard at work. She works for the NHS and she is a nurse and she's working exceptionally hard at the moment and
No, she
working nights. Bless her. So
really,
all the best
I
to
think
Laura.
I just think tell her I says that I think she's slacking. That's what it is.
She's like, yeah, I'll let her know. I'll speak to her. I'll speak to her. So we speak most days. So we do speak most days, Laura and I. So I'll speak to her and let her know what you said. But yeah, I mean, a couple of things from the live chats I want to pick up on. Aldo says, seen the TAV poll, says all I have been running a poll while we've been talking. 66% say no, James Tavernier should not be at Rangers next season. 34% say yes, he should. A couple of questions that I noticed in the live chat. One was from Geordie. It was a little way back. Geordie, I apologize, I can't bring it up now, but I'm referencing your question. Curry, would you pay the money to bring Abdallah Sima back to Rangers, or do you think, as good as he is, and he's probably one of our best players, those injuries are too big a worry to pay such a large sum of money for him?
Right, well, I'll need to answer that question by asking you a question, mate.
Go.
His previous, before he came to Rangers, was he well known for injuries? Because I'm going to admit I knew absolutely nothing about Sima before he came to Rangers. So is that something he's had before he came to Rangers, or is it only since he came here?
Only since he came to Rangers. He's not a player that's missed a lot of time with injury. Cortez, I know, has had a few injuries pre-coming. Certainly, Abdallah Sima's injury history, it is not long. It is not a massive one. It seems it is since he's come to the curse of Rangers that he seems to have suddenly got injured an awful lot. So that would be my answer to that one. So that's my take.
Said he's got a bit of history, mate. That if he's got a bit of history injuries, mate, it's no doubt it's a no, because Clement said he's going to sort it out during the pre-season. I hope he does. Apparently, we got yet again we've got a new doctor. I think it is one that we've already had before, previous. I don't know if it's the same one we had with I forgot Stephen Gerrard. I can't believe I nearly forgot his name there. I think I'm not 100% sure. But if he had an injury before he came here and he's well known for it, it's a no, mate. Do I think he's a good player? Aye. He's 16 goals he scored before he got injured. So, but for the money, I've seen somebody in the chat saying about 7 million. I reckon it would be the minimum, say 6-7 million we'd need to pay for him. I think it's 6 or 7 million that we could spend elsewhere. Now, if you have a look at, sorry everybody, you can call me whatever you want in the chat, because I know we don't want to be talking about it. But if you look at that mob across the city, their midfield's 3 million. They pay 3.5 million. They pay for their midfield, and their midfield runs riot around the rest of the SPFL. Do they need to be world class? No. All you need to be is good enough to play in this league, and that's all we want. Well, all I want. Sorry, for all you folk that want success in Europe, I'm not one of them. I will always be. I'm a proper Rangers dad when it comes to that. I want titles. I want cups. If we do well in Europe, fair enough. I'm happy we getting into the last 16. Last 16 for me is a major achievement, and that's Europa. That's not even Champions League, because I never want to see what happened with Giovanni Bronkhorst when we went into the Champions League and we were getting scudded left, right, and centre by far superior teams with money that's just been something we'll never ever achieve because of the SFA and who runs it. We'll never get that type of money ever. Where did you get that? That was quick, mate. Let's have a look.
Transfer market. I stand corrected. He has got a bad injury history. This is his injury history since 2020, 2021. Was the last 4 years. Groin injury when he was at Slavia, then problems, then an ankle injury when he was at 22. Groin injury at Stoke. Is that Stoke? I think 21, 22. I think it's Stoke. Might not be. I should be Brighton, surely. And then obviously hamstring injury. So yeah, he does seem to have a bit of a bad record with injury.
Especially the last
That's not
one
good, is it,
when he
Curry?
was 20. Nah, mate, no. I think that has definitely swayed me. I think that's. I think it was Bluebells that was saying it. I think that's just too much money for a player that's got to be another Kemar Roof. So nah, it's a no from me, Owen.
It's a no from you, yeah. He's pressing the red X. Curry's pressing the red X on the Sima deal. The other question I wanted to bring up was one that Aldo asked in the chat earlier. Who would you have as your captain next season, Curry? I mean, I know we can't really fully assess this because we don't know who's still going to be at the club next season, who we're going to bring in. But let's say out of the existing squad, is there anybody there who you would see as captaincy material?
Anybody but James Tavernier. How does that sound, mate? That's the only thing I would do. Any player. No, I would. Here's what I'm thinking, right? And I know that people will just be like, get to, right? I would, if we could get Sterling in midfield, I would have Sterling. Yes, he's a young boy, but he plays by example. That's something James Tavernier can't do, because he's the one. 9 out of 10 times he's the one that makes the mistake. He scores goals, but if we lose a goal, you can guarantee that there's a good chance that James Tavernier has got it's got to be involved in some way, shape, or form. What Aaron says, Sterling equals a Barry Ferguson. I don't think he's that type of guy. I don't think he's the type of guy that will shout at folk like that. But the thing is, he's good enough as a player, and his work rate, his work ethic, gives him that right that he could possibly be a manager. Put it this way, he can certainly do a job because he's played near enough every position in the outfield, so he can do that. So I think it could be a potential future captain, whether it be this season coming. I think he might be a bit too young. I don't know. It's just.
I think personally, I think that age is not important. I think if you're good enough, you're old enough. I don't buy into this age rubbish. I mean, look at Mia Macaulay for the women's team, how fantastic she's been. She's 17 years old. Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, young players who are really impressing at the moment.
Oh yeah, mate. No, I understand where you're coming from. No, I understand. No, I'm just thinking that this is what I think most Rangers fans will think. I'm not talking for what I would have him, because to be perfectly honest with you, the squad as it is just now, I don't think there's another player that could be captain. I can't see it. There's nobody I can see that would fit a captain role for my eyes. The way I see a captain, I want a captain that goes out and shows by example. Somebody that's going to say to somebody else, "Listen, come on, get your finger out." I don't want somebody that makes a mistake and then can't say nothing. If you're the one that's causing trouble, you can't be the guy that turns around and points your finger at somebody else. That's the thing, and unfortunately, that's what our captain's doing just now. I think somebody was talking about the keeper, Butland. I don't know. I'm no like a football expert, obviously, or I wouldn't be doing this. And no, I'm not talking about your channel, mate. I'm talking about any pod just sitting in a pod. I don't think goalkeepers make very good captains. Either good with the back, maybe the centre backs, and maybe with your left and right winger or your right backs. But anything from midfield onwards, I don't think a goalkeeper could get involved as much or tell them if there's something that they're doing wrong, because there's only so much information they can get to them. So that's just me, mate.
I agree. I think Sterling's good. I think he's an honest lad. He works hard. I have seen him on a few occasions actually shouting at people when things have gone wrong, and people haven't done their jobs. I have seen him yelling at people. I think I think he is someone who could be a very good captain. And there's a lot of people saying, obviously, defence, midfield. I mean, look at some of our great captains of the past. Terry Butcher, for example, outstanding captain. Richard Goff, people like that who are just leaders, absolute leaders. Barry Ferguson. We do look at centre halves and midfielders as being natural leaders on the pitch because they pretty much can influence everywhere on the pitch. But we do need a leader. We do need someone who, does the inspiring, not only through the way he plays, but the way he talks to the players. And I think has a little bit of the dark arts about him as well. I mean, look, as much as I hate Callum McGregor with an absolute passion, he does have a little bit of the touch of the dark arts. He does influence refs. He does get in other players' heads. I think that's the sort of player you need as a captain, someone who can do all those things. And Tav can't do it. There's no reason why
he learned from the biggest arsehole in football, mate. And it was the reason he was an arsehole was because he was a brilliant captain for them. Was Curry Muncher.
Scott Brown.
He was one of the best captains they've ever had because of what he did and how he organised that team. As much as we hate him, and I can't stand it, can't stand him as a person or as a player. I hated him just as probably the same way as that mob hated our players. But he was the one thing that he was a good captain, and even when they were at their worst, he was the one that brought them through games that they should have lost. When they've come out and they've scored in the 8th or 9th minute of extra time, he was involved directly. Some of the people in chat are saying that they like to see somebody in midfield or centre back or midfield. I need to agree. That's where I would have my captain, either the centre back, but we've not got a centre back that could be captain. Big Sooty. Big Sooty's done all right. He's not been brilliant. I don't think. Did he ever he captained Hearts? Did you know at one time?
I can't really remember, but he might have done. I know people have talked about him being a possible Rangers captain, but I don't think
he's not for me right enough. But I'm just like I'm trying to think out the box and not think. If I say Sterling, I think everybody. Well, there's been a couple of people that have agreed with me. No money, but I think, as I said, I think he's just because he's no longer in the team squad playing. I think that might be the biggest bugbear with a lot of the Rangers support.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, sorry,
right, guys. We have to call it a day now. We've been going on for nearly an hour and a half now. I'm going to have to get Curry back on next week to talk about the cup final ahead of obviously the big game on the 25th. Curry, before we head off tonight, as I said, nearly an hour and a half now. Plug away, Curry. Talk about whatever you want. Plug away, Curry.
Right. Well, I can't plug away because I'm not doing my Rangers pod just now. The Stands of Ibrox. If you've not subscribed to me, please go and have a wee look. You'll hear more of this, except you'll probably hear me swear a lot more, and you'll probably hear me ranting a lot more, and you'll probably hear me slagging Tavernier a lot more. Anybody that knows me will know what I like with him. But right at the moment, as I said, I've had a lot of things going on. I explained to you, Owen, before I came on. I've got things going on in my own life that I need to get things sorted out. I'm not quite there yet. My dog, who doesn't keep well, she's been pretty ill for the last few weeks and that. She's recovering, so hopefully she's getting better. And I'm trying to getting a new PC. It's not so much an upgrade. It's a brand new build I'm getting, and this thing's costing a bloody fortune. I'm raging. I started off. I said, I maybe spend about £800-900 on it. I'm nearly double that already, and I've still got a graphics card to get. I'm like, what the? So I'm gonna have to eat. But thanks for having me on, mate. Thanks for everybody for coming and listening to my shite. Thanks. I just come on here, the same as you. We're all Rangers supporter. We won't all agree. No chance of that happening. But there's one thing we do agree on. We want the best for our club and how we go 100%. Forward. So we are the people.
We are the people, exactly. Curry, it's been an absolute pleasure. You are, as you know, you are always welcome here on the channel. You're a good friend of mine, a good friend of the channel, so you are always welcome on here. Hopefully one day I'll get you on with the lovely Laura, and you can tell her to her face that she's a slacker. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, make sure you say that right, slacker.
I'll tell her. She's a tough.
Aye,
I'll tell you
watch how you
something.
say that.
I can tell you, Curry. She's a tough wee lassie. I wouldn't mess with Laura if I were you. Okay, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has been on the channel. Thank you to everyone in the live chat, to all the mods, to everyone who's commented tonight, to everyone who's taken part in the live chat. Try to bring as many of your comments up as Curry and I have been talking tonight. She's a tough wee lassie, David. Tough wee lassie, okay, the new and all that. Right, guys. That's my best Scottish accent I can do. As always, guys, on the way out, 2 things I always ask. Number 1, please smash the like. It defeats that evil algorithm on YouTube. And number 2, remember always, please never forget, we are the people.